Kilo 7 Alpha Victor Sierra. Yes, Paul, I hear you. I'm up here on the top of Traverse Mountain.
Wow, are you running the 705?
Yes, I'm running the 705 at 10 watts.
Well, you are between S8 and S9 down here at Lodestone. That's spectacular.
I'm really excited about that. I hope I'm getting into the Utah Valley pretty well. I can see that. It almost feels like the Utah Valley is closer than the Salt Lake Valley. I imagine I'm hitting the whole valley just perfectly, just as good as you can hear me.
Well, I suspect you are correct. As I recall, looking out from the park, in fact, looking up at Traverse Mountain from Lehigh, it was right there. I mean, like a 45-degree angle right there. So, yeah, you should do great into Utah County. I only wish they were having their net tonight.
Me too, but maybe next time. This is KK7AVS. I've got you at 26 plus, so you're doing great up here too.
Well, fantastic. I am excited now about next week. That's fantastic. And you're using the Tram 719?
I'm using my Moonraker. I actually hauled that all the way up here.
Ah, well, now I'm less surprised. If you were going to tell me that a 47-inch loaded whip was doing that, I would have been amazed. But okay, now it makes a little more sense. Well, it's a fantastic setup from what I can tell.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm pretty excited for the net.
S9 in West Valley.
And who's that?
This is Chuck, KF7TK, and I misspoke in West Jordan. But gentleman up on the mountain is a solid S9.
All right. Well, he's on Traverse Mountain down by Lehigh, or Bluffdale/Lehigh, and he's running 10 watts. So I think we found a spectacular site for future experiments. Well, cool, Chuck. Good to have you along with us tonight. James, let me ask you, how hard was that thing to haul up there?
Oh, it was back-breaking. If I would have taken my time and gone a little bit slower, it would have been okay, but it was quite a pain in the butt to get that up here. Not looking forward to getting it back down, but I learned, and we'll just go slower next time.
Well, and I think maybe we need to find a more backpack-friendly setup. I'm guessing that tripod's not light.
No, it's not, Paul. It's a smaller steel tripod I brought up with me, but yeah, I was able to carry it in one hand, the Moonraker in the other, and come up. So I did okay. But next time I'm going to think about it a little bit more before I come up here, and I'll be a little bit more prepared. KK7AVS back over to AE4KR.
All right. Well, you know, I admire you for what you've been willing to do, and we really appreciate your help with the net. Well, Chuck, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, and I really had a great time Friday night on the six-pack on 6 meters. There was Pradicki opening, and I worked a station on Connecticut, and one in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The guy was so strong, I thought he was next door.
Well, yeah, I heard a couple of people saying they worked some distant states on 6 meters last week. We are in sporadic E-season now. We've got a high pressure coming in from the south tonight, and we've got some thunderstorms to the north and west. So who knows? Anything could happen tonight. And just before I came out here, I was dialing around the beacons on the Utah SDR in Corinne. And let's see, I logged California, Manitoba, Canada, Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, and a couple others. It's They were all weak, but it sounds like there may be some stuff happening in the atmosphere tonight. And last night, I heard a very brief opening, and I was getting a couple of DX stations coming in, and I couldn't even copy their full call signs. But it was gone almost as quick as it came, and it is the season.
On the six-pack, some guys were talking during the net, and they said, there's some signals down below a few KC, and I went down and listened, and then I heard them. I was listening to the SDR on 6, the receiver there, and I could hear them there, but I could hear them at home just about as well.
Well, if you were listening in Corinne, I'm not sure what they have for a 6-meter antenna up there, but I suspect it's not as good as the one they have for the HF bands. But yeah, I've been surprised that I'm hearing from these portable locations I'm running net control, I'm hearing things just as well, some of the weaker distant stuff just as well as that thing up in Corinne is. And I have to attribute it to the fact that I've got an antenna that's cut for 10 meters and is resonant, rather than an antenna that is covering the entire HF spectrum.
Yeah, I think so. And this antenna that I put up last week I had it. It's a vertical dipole, and I fed it with open line, and I can tune it on 6 and 10 and even 24. I don't know how efficient it is with all those, but anyway, you're a lightning, you're a spark plug. You got me, everybody all excited about 10.
Well, I think the timing is right. I think a lot of people go out at the beginning of a new sunspot cycle and look up in the backyard and see antennas that haven't been fed RF in years, and maybe you're suffering from some neglect. And that was part of my hope in the timing of this thing. It's very satisfying and fulfilling for me to see that effect happening. So it makes all the work that it took to get this thing up and running worthwhile. James, are you hearing Chuck okay?
I hear him just as well as I hear you, probably about 24 plus.
Wow.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what you mean when you say 24 plus. Are you saying it's between 20 and plus 20 and plus 30 in the reds?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. Well, how is the noise level up there? If you turn on the preamps, can you see anything on the S meter?
The noise level is 3 with the preamp on, KK7AVS.
Okay, I've got about an S2 to S2.5 noise level here with the preamps off, so you're probably a little quieter up there too, even though you are surrounded by homes. Well, I did not wear my watch tonight, so let me grab a quick look at the time. And is there anybody else on the net before the net tonight? This is AE4KR.
KK7AVS with a quick question.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, when he was listening on the 6-meter SDR, were you listening to the Corinne 6-meter or the one here in Salt Lake Valley? Because we do have two different receivers. Over.
Oh, I didn't know that. And I was listening to one up north.
Okay, QSL. There's another one here at my house on 6, and on the 6-meter net, I hear everybody I hear on my other, my TS2000. So just a point. That's it. And you're about a minute and a half away from net. KK7AVS. Bye.
Okay, well, James, I'm going to try to start the recording on this thing. It's the first time I've tried this, so I will catch you guys in a moment. AE4KR.
Victor Echo 6 Kilo Delta X-ray, just a brief note, you guys are loud and proud in northern Alberta this evening, over.
Was that VE1?
VE6, Victor Echo 6 Kilo Delta X-ray, just letting you know you're loud and in Alberta, northern Alberta, over.
Oh, roger that. What's the QTH?
I'm 3 hours north of Edmonton, Alberta, over.
Well, the station in Alberta, stand by. We'd love to have you check into the net here starting in a few seconds.
Yeah, roger that. I can hear all three of you, even the guy on the mountain or on the hill or wherever he's at, over.
All right, well, it's up and down a little bit, but we will give you a call when we come to that point. Calling the Salt Lake 10 meter net. Calling the Salt Lake 10 meter net. This is AE4KR, Alpha Echo 4 Kilo Romeo. My name is Paul. I'll be your net control station tonight. And we hold this net each week on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Time on this frequency, 28.345 megahertz upper sideband. After a round of informals, we move everybody with a general class or higher license up to FM simplex on 29.480, and that'll be the case tonight. We do have some band opening going on tonight, so we may have some fun here. All stations are welcome. We do recommend vertical polarization for this net, but we'll try and get you checked in regardless. We will start with roll call, and, well, actually, first, let me start with any stations outside the state of Utah. Outside the state of Utah, including our friend from Canada. Call now.
Yeah, Victor Echo 6 Kilo Delta X-ray, northern Alberta. The name is Carl, Kilo Alpha Romeo Lima, over.
All right, Carl. Well, before we lose the band, tell us a bit about your equipment and antenna and what you're running up there.
Yeah, roger that. I'm currently running a Flex 6700 barefoot at 100 watts. Actually 90 out to the antenna. Antenna's a old Cushcraft A3S on a tower at 70 feet, pointing 179 degrees south of it.
Okay, Carl, tell me, is that a beam?
Yes, it's a 3-element Cushcraft tri-band beam, over.
Okay, I'm running a Cushcraft AR-10 vertical down here. You sound good, although there is some QSB. Give me one more transmission and your call sign, and I'll see what the S-meter says.
Yeah, roger that. It's a 1976 vintage Cushcraft A3S that I found in someone's barn, so decided to fix it up and put it on the tower. Currently, like I say, running 90 watts output to the beam, pointing your direction 179 degrees, VG6 KDX, over.
All right, Carl. Well, nice signal down here in the States tonight. Thank you very much for checking in. You're our first Canadian check-in. All right, I'm going to count myself here on the list. We've got Carl. We'll run down the roster now and see who we've got. KJ7JJ. John? WY7OSP. Orville? KF7PGP. Howard? NN7RM. David? KC7RUE. Ed?
This is KC7RUE, Ed in Taylorsville, Utah. Back to net control.
All right, Ed, I have you at about an S6 here tonight. N7XDL. Dan? W7ANP. Nick? KK7AVS. James?
KK7AVS.
All right, James, I have you at an S8. And just a word to everybody, tonight James is running 10 watts from an ICOM 705 on Traverse Mountain tonight to a Moonraker halfway vertical. So when his... James, why don't you give us a brief transmission? I'd like everybody who's listening tonight to take a look at their S-meter and see what James is sounding like from up on the hill tonight. James, go ahead.
This is KK7AVS James. I'm up here on the top of Traverse Mountain next to this steel pyramid structure. I can see down into the Utah Valley, clear as I can into the Salt Lake Valley, a full 360 view. So I hope you can hear me well. 10 watts. Back to net control, KK7AVS.
Okay, so when it comes around to your informal, all of you on the list tonight, please give us a reading on what you had for James tonight. Thank you, James. K7BTU, Rulon. KK7DV, Gary. K7EDG, Sterling. KK7GJI, Mitch. KF7HXA, Bruce. W7JSO, Jeremy.
This is Whiskey 7, Juliet Sierra Oscar, Jeremy in West Jordan, checking in, back to net control.
All right, Jeremy, real quick, did you hear Carl up in Canada tonight?
I apologize, I'm late and I'm just now turning on the radio. You are the only one I've heard so far.
All right, fair enough. KJ7LAX, Scott? Can I get a relay from the East Bench? Anybody hear Scott tonight? All right, nothing heard. KJ7MEB, Elizabeth?
This is Kilo Juliet 7, Mike Echo Bravo, Elizabeth this evening.
All right, Elizabeth, nice signal. I've got you at an S4 tonight. You'll have to tell us how the POTA expedition went. KG7MLL, Sam?
This is Kilo Golf 7, Mike Lima Lima, Sam. Checking in, KG7MLL.
Okay, Sam, I was able to hear you in there, but you're competing with the noise, and I did not copy. James, did you catch that?
KK7AVS, yeah, I heard him, but I didn't quite catch what he said. I was writing down some notes.
All right, Sam, thank you. We will give it a try again when we come around to informals. KI7MTI, Mike? KF7PK, Chuck?
Yeah, this is Kilo Fox 7 Papa Kilo in West Jordan.
All right, Chuck, I've got you at an S6 tonight. WA7RFE, Bob? WB7RLX, Gene? W7ROI, Tim?
This is Whiskey 7, Romeo Oscar, Medium, Tim.
Okay, Tim, I heard you in there. I do not have a strong enough signal to copy you tonight, but we'll get a relay when the time comes. Thank you. KD7UUF, David?
This is KD7UUF, David.
Okay, I'm not sure if I heard David or not. Did anybody else copy David tonight?
KK7AVS, yes, I copy him at S7.
Wow, and you're miles farther south than I am. All right, David, we got you. KF7UUM, Bruce?
This is Kilo Fox 7, Uniform Mike, Bruce over here in Taylorsville.
Okay, Bruce, I got you about an S4 tonight with the preamps turned off. KR7V, Rick? WA7X, Glenn?
This is WA7X, Glenn in East Mill Creek. I'm copying everybody but David, and noticed that the VE was blasting in on the Northern Utah SDR. Stronger than anybody, WA7X.
Okay, I'm not terribly surprised. Skip often outperforms ground wave. All right, well, thank you, everyone, on the roster. This is AE4KR, net control for the Salt Lake 10-meter net. Are there any other stations missed, late, in or outside the state of Utah, visitors, whatever? Give us a call now.
Whiskey Alpha 7, Romeo Foxtrot Echo, Bob in Taylorsville, and no traffic.
Okay, WA7RFE, I got you, Bob. There was somebody else. Go ahead.
Victor Echo 6, Romeo November Echo.
All right, Victor Echo 6, Romeo November Echo. Give us your name, location, and go ahead and take a brief informal.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. This is Victor Echo 6, Romeo November Echo. The name is Vern, Victor Echo Romeo. And my QTH is Whitecourt, Alberta, and your signal was a 5x8, 58.
All right, Vern. Well, thank you. I've got you about an S4 here with the preamps off, running 100 watts to a Cushcraft AR-10 halfway vertical. What are you running for equipment there?
All right, thank you. What's your first name?
I'm sorry, first name here is Paul, Papa Alpha Uniform Lima.
All right, thanks for that, Paul. My gear here is actually downgraded about a year ago. I got a Zygo G90 that runs 20 watts, and I got an X-Beam up at 40 feet. Back to you.
Wow, all right. Well, listen out when you get a chance for KK7AVS, because he's running 10 watts and a halfway vertical, and I think he's probably copying you well. Thank you for checking in. Are there any others?
W0ENX, Jay.
Jay, I didn't look at the meter because I was writing it down, but you sound great here in the Salt Lake City area tonight. Tell us your location and what are you running?
Oh, very good. Yes, I'm running a 2-element Yagi. I'm in eastern Nebraska, near the Missouri River, and I'm running an ICOM 7300. Back to net.
Okay, very good. So 2-element Yagi. Awesome. Well, I have you at about an S6 here. There's a little bit of QSB, but the copy was solid. And thank you for checking in tonight. Are there any others? All right, nothing heard, so we'll assume that that's it for now. For those of you just joining us, the Salt Lake 10-meter net meets each Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, on this frequency, on upper sideband. And we start with a roll call, and then we have an informal offered to everyone who checks in. And then after we're done with that, we QSY up to the FM portion of the band to 29.480 simplex and have an FM rag chew. So if the band holds up, we invite everybody to join us up there who's eligible to use that part of the spectrum. I'm going to break from tradition here and go for a round of informals. Let's start with the stations who we may not be able to hold on to for too long. VE6, KDX. Carl, why don't you take an informal and let Vern and Jay know how you heard their signals tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, roger that. Victor Echo 6 Kilo Delta X-ray. The name is Carl, located 3 hours north of Edmonton, Alberta. Running 100 watts from a Flex 6700 to a beam at 70 feet. I'm hearing everybody around an S2 to S3, but I have an S1 noise floor with no preamps in place. So very, very light conditions up here for me, but everyone's Q5 over.
Okay, I'm not sure if Carl finished or if the band closed up on us, but Vern, go ahead and take an informal and tell us if you've been around long enough to hear anybody else.
Yeah, okay, good evening, Paul. This is VE6 Romeo November Echo. I heard some stations on earlier. They were loud, but I didn't get any call signs. So anybody out there copy me? VE6 RNE?
Well, we will find out as we go through the informals, Vern. Thanks very much. W0ENX. Jay, who are you hearing tonight?
I can hear you quite well. You're varying with the QSB. You're varying between about an S2 and an S9 on my meter here. And Bruce, believe it or not, was stronger here in eastern Nebraska than what you had. I had him at about an S5. I could not hear your Canadian check-in, though. Back to net.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll go down the list of locals now, and we'll see if when we come back around we've got any of our visitors left. Thank you all for checking in tonight. KC7RUE. Ed, your turn.
Good evening, Paul and Annette. I'm hearing the Canadian stations very well, anywhere from a S1 to an S7. And Paul, this evening you're coming in at a strong S9. KK7AVS is peaking between an S1 and an S5, and K7JSO, he's coming in with clear audio, but doesn't peak the meter. And KJ7MEB Elizabeth, she's coming in with a strong S7. KG7MLL Sam, you got great audio, but not peaking the meter. KF7PK Chuck, you're got great audio, but not peaking the meter. And WA7RFE Bob, you're coming through at a S4, very clear audio. And Tim, K7ROI, I heard him in there with just audio. And then KF7UUM, you're 10 over 9. And WA7X Glenn is a solid S9 here into Taylorsville. Other than that, haven't had to do much on the radio this week. Hoping to get something done next week. So appreciate it. AE4KR is KC7RUE. Back to net.
Ed, thank you very much for the diligence in logging all those signal reports. We really appreciate it. Let me ask you real quick, is there any chance you could shoot a copy of that with your phone and just email me a picture?
Absolutely. I believe I have your phone number. I'll shoot it over, or I'll scan it and email it to you. This is KC7RUE, back to net.
Yes, email would be better if you can do that. Thank you, Ed. KK7AVS, James up on the mountain tonight. Let's see who you heard and how well.
KK7AVS, well, I hear you at 26 over 9. KC7RUE, I hear him at S9. W7JSO, Jeremy, 18 over. KG7MLL, Sam, 10 over. KF7PK, Chuck, 24 over. W7ROI, Tim, S5. KD7UUF, S7. KF7UUM, Bruce, 10 over. KR7V, Rick, 32 over. VE6RNE, S8. And then Carl, Carl's at S8. I forgot the first of his call sign. And then S9 W0ENX from Nebraska. Back over to Net Control, KK7AVS.
Thank you very much, James. This is AE4KR, Net Control for the Salt Lake 10 meter net. My name is Paul. I'm going to see if we've got our visitors still with us, and see if they've got one more thing to say, if we can hear them down here before we lose the band for the night. VE6KDX. Carl, you still with us? VE6RNE. Vern?
Yeah, still there. VE6 Romeo November Echo, standing by.
All right, good. Were you able to copy James just a moment ago?
Yes, I did hear him. Yes, he was about a 5x5, 55.
All right, S5 sounds good. And Jay, were you able to copy James just now? W0ENX, AE4KR. You still with us?
Yes, W0ENX. I'm trying to hang in there, but conditions seem to be weakening a bit. So I'll probably go ahead and check out. Anyway, thank you for letting me join your net briefly tonight. I heard you guys in there, and I wanted to jump in, and I could hear James. He was just over my background noise, so I'll probably have to jump out of here. This is W0ENX.
All right. Well, thank you, Jay, for checking in tonight, and all you guys are welcome anytime. We're here every week. All right, that may be our last transmissions from the visitors, so we'll keep going down the list. W7JSO, Jeremy, it's your turn.
This is Whiskey 7, Juliet Sierra Oscar, Paul, I had to do a last-minute antenna placement change. I couldn't hear anybody. I could hear you and James a tiny bit, so I had to move locations, and so I don't have a signal report on the other people, but I did hear those last two you were talking to just barely above my noise floor. Couldn't understand what they were saying, though. Back to you.
All right, I've got you at an F7, so the antenna rearrangement worked out well. Yeah, I assumed we might be losing the band because I heard a lot less here when I got set up than I did 40 minutes earlier at the house. And I'm glad we got to check those guys in and give them an informal. And thanks for you checking in tonight. Elizabeth, tell us how your POTA expedition went. KJ7MEB, AE4KR.
Hello, everyone on the net. This is Kilo Juliet 7, Mike Echo Bravo. And as Paul mentioned, I went up to Bear Lake Wednesday through Saturday, and I activated 2 of those days. I did try to check in, although my antenna was pointing the wrong direction, and I was using 10 watts or so. This evening, I am on a different antenna, of course, because I'm at home, and it's pointing southwest, whereas 2 weeks ago, when I joined you, I was on the 10 to 40 end-fed half wave, which points southeast. So I'm curious if there's any difference. Of course, the band is very different this evening, but that is the difference in my operating this evening versus 2 weeks ago. And I wasn't a diligent note taker, but Bruce in Taylorsville was a powerful S9, and both James and you, Paul, are at about a S7. Everyone else was hearable, maybe an S5, the Canadian station down in the S2 range, but I could almost pick him up. This is KJ7MEB, back to net control.
Okay, I caught parts of that, Elizabeth. My noise levels come up here a little bit. I still have you at an S4, but it sounds like you gave it a shot, and we appreciate that. I'm going to be out of town later this summer. I'm going to give it a shot from a couple of spots in the Midwest. So you've inspired me to look more into POTA, too, especially since you told me that I show up as a hunter in the files. Thank you for checking in tonight. James, real quick, you didn't give Elizabeth a signal report on your first go-around. What do you have her up on Traverse Mountain tonight?
KK7AVS, I hear KJ7MEB Elizabeth at 10 over. Back to net control.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. All right, we'll move down the list. KG7MLL. Sam, it's your turn, and James, if you would relay anything he says that we need to hear. Go ahead, Sam.
This is KG7MLL. Paul, I've got you coming in at a S6. Let's see, James, you're coming in at an S8 from my location. I couldn't hear Jeremy very well tonight. Elizabeth is weak. I could copy her, but the signal didn't move my S meter. As far as our Canadian neighbors, I could hear Carl and Vern, and Jay was very weak. Back to net control, KG7MLL.
All right, I copied enough to know that you signed there, Sam. Thank you for checking in. James, any news from Sam for the net?
He copies you at S6. He has a hard time hearing our Canadian neighbors. But I had a hard time because KJ7 LAX is trying to break in.
Okay. Go ahead and give him a call. We'll get him checked in.
KJ7LAX from KK7AVS. Are you still with us this evening?
Copy that. This is Kilo Juliet 7 Lima Alpha X-Ray. Scott in Tooele, Utah. Over.
Yeah, I got you from Tooele, Utah. I got you at an S9. Do you have an informal for the net you would like to give us? Were you able to hear any other stations besides me and Paul?
This is KJ7LAX. just increased my power to around 300 watts. How is my signal now? Over.
I'm getting you at about 10 over, but you're pretty steamy. Did you hear any other stations, Scott?
I can barely hear your station. I can't hear many of the other stations, so it's right at my noise floor. Over.
Well, that sounds good. I'm sorry you weren't able to hear anybody. I'm on the top of Traverse Mountain in Lehigh, and like I said, I got you at S9. When you bumped up your power, I got you at 10 over. KK7AVS, back to net control.
All right, well, Scott, if you can hear me, thank you for checking in tonight, and James, thank you for that relay. I can hear Scott here faintly down in the noise, but not very well tonight. Let's move on down the list to KF7PK. Chuck, it's your turn.
Yeah, KF7PK. What a night! I see on my scope there's a signal up a few kc, about 28.4, little less. And I'm afraid to move the dial. I'm going to miss something here. Fantastic. I see the height is the key. James up there is in a wonderful spot, and I'm hearing the VEs about S3 to S5, and fellow in Nebraska, he was about an S4, but you can sure see the band going up and down with the fluctuation. James is about 10 over S9 here, and I was looking at my log, and the other night, on Friday night, on 6, I talked to Kentucky, North Carolina, Minnesota, and South Dakota, and everybody was 5.8, 5.9. So, yahoo! KF7PK.
All right, Chuck. Yeah, one of the things I've always wondered about 10 meters is how much difference height really makes, elevation above terrain. You know, it's very rare that we get to do testing like that. Once in a while, you'll find somebody who lives up on a hill, and it seems to be advantageous, but you don't know really whether it was the height or whether they just had a good station. And so in the next few weeks, we're hoping to test a couple of high spots. I'll be doing net control from Traverse Mountain next week, and I think James is going to join me up there as well. And I did get word back from the copper mine today, and approval will not be coming quickly, but the person I've been talking with says they think it will be coming. So maybe the end of the month or in July we may get a chance to test up there too. Thank you, Chuck, for checking in. And as far as being up to band on 29.4, yeah, 29.4 is a fairly common calling frequency for sideband. When we get done with our net tonight, I'm going to try to check into the Fresno Madera County net in California on 28.445. So we'll see what happens. I was hearing beacons out of California pretty strong here in the last hour. All right, WA7RFE. Bob, it's your turn.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, everybody on the net. I could hear most everybody. In fact, the Canadian station was about a S4, and the Nebraska was about an S8. So he was really coming in good. And as far as my formal, we just went up to see my brother in Ogden. He had a hip replacement, so he used to come home on Thursday. So he's doing really well. So anyway, back to net, WA7RFE.
All right, Bob, we appreciate you. I've got you at an S6. I was able to take a look at the meter while you were talking there. Thank you for checking in tonight. I'm going to pause here and see if there are any additional check-ins for the Salt Lake 10-meter net. This is AE4KR. Call now.
This is Whiskey Yankee 7, Oscar Sierra Papa.
Okay, got WY7OSP Orville. Any others? Go now.
KK7GJI. I was a little late to check in. I was trying to get good SWR on my antenna.
All right, we got you, Mitch. KK7GJI. Any others? All right, we're going to jump up the list here. Orville, I don't know if you missed the fun. We had our first DX tonight, but go ahead and take an informal.
Okay, WI7OSP here. These summer days tend to mess me up when it's still nice and bright around 8 o'clock. I forget what time it is, so I was a little late coming in. Also, I'll probably have to do a short time. I just had a dental surgery and having a little difficult time talking. So I'll just leave it short and return it back to you, Paul. I'll talk with you later.
All right, Orville, I got you at 30 over S9 up here. James, KK7AVS, is up on Traverse Mountain tonight. James, how did you have Orville's signal? Over?
That will start here in a couple minutes, and I was able to make contacts with them. Anyway, I thought I'd let everybody know real quick that...
Okay. James may be otherwise occupied. We'll come back to that. Mitch, why don't you go ahead and take one? KK7GJI, AE4KR.
Well, this is my second time doing this. Remind me what I'm supposed to do at this point?
Okay, Mitch, I can hear you, but I'm struggling to copy. Try again.
This is KK7GJI transmitting on 10 watts at about like a 2 SWR on my antenna. Not great.
Okay, I heard you say you have an SWR of 2. Tell me again what power and what radio you're running.
10 watt IC705.
All right, Mitch, I've got you about an S4 here with 10 watts. I apologize, my noise level's kind of crazy tonight, more so than it's been in the past. But if you want, hang around, join us on FM. We appreciate you checking in tonight. All right, next on the list is Tim, W7ROI. And James, if you're listening, I'm going to ask you to stand by to relay when he's done. Go ahead.
This is W7ROI.
KK7AVS, all I got was his call sign. He talked for a little bit and then his signal stopped.
Yeah, that's what I heard here too. Tim, I do not have copy on you tonight at Net Control, but we appreciate you checking in, and maybe let's catch up by email afterward and see what you were running tonight. David, up in Syracuse, KD7UUF. This is the Salt Lake 10 meter net. It's your turn.
This is KD7UUF. Not much going on here. I heard that visitor station W0. I'm not sure who that was. I heard James, he was about 3 or 4 bars. Stan, I can make him out a little bit, not quite. And Scott, kind of heard him a little bit, but other than that, can't hear anyone else. But not much going on here. Back to Net Control, KD7UUF.
KK7AVS, he finished his transmission, Paul.
Okay, I did not have copy tonight. David, if you're hearing me, and I think you must be because you checked in on cue, thank you for checking in tonight. I'll catch you later maybe on 6.2, and we'll see how things sounded tonight. Over to you, Bruce. KF7UUM.
Thank you very much, Paul. Kilo Fox 7 uniform Mike Bruce here. Let's see, I'm trying to make out my notes here. I never did write down Carl's signal, VE6 KDX, but he had to have been at least a good solid 6 or 7. And VE6 RNE, I had him at an S1 on my 2-element dipole, but an S5 on my Delta loop, 40-meter loop. And let's see, the Nebraska station was 5 on the dipole and 8 on the loop. Paul, both Paul and you, James, you're both about 3 on the dipole and about a 5 on the loop. And I'm hearing most everyone pretty well tonight. KF7UUM. Back to you, Paul.
All right, Bruce. Well, thank you for checking in, as always, and we appreciate those signal reports. It might be something you want to experiment with if you've got 2 antennas, is diversity receive. There are setups you can get that, for example, on some of the software-defined radios that have 2 antenna inputs, you can actually hook up both antennas, and then it will pick the one with the best signal. So that might be something to try as an experiment if you get bored someday. WA7X, Glenn, it's your turn.
This is WA7X in East Mill Creek, Utah. First of all, James is a solid S7, and you're running about an S8, so he's pretty close. He's sounding good. The other station that was running 10 watts, the KK7AVS, he was coming in a solid S6 and sounded very good. All of the VEs were coming in at about a 5 on the SDR. They were coming in about between a 6 to a 9. The W0 I could not copy here at my home station, but he was blasting in at the SDR site, probably S9 or so. But I think I have a knoll to the east, the way my antenna is configured. So I would be interested to see how James is copying me there on Traverse Ridge as well. I could hear the Twilla station. It sounded like he had a little bit of RF feedback when he raised his power, but I couldn't hear David either on the SDR or direct, and I was a little bit surprised about that. AE4KR in the group, WA7X.
All right, Glenn. I've got an excellent signal on you here tonight. You're about 10 over S9. Sounding good up here on the hill, and thank you for those signal reports. If James is S8, S7, and I'm S8, that's pretty spectacular because I'm running 10 dB more power than he is. Let's take a quick pause and see if any of our visitors are still with us tonight. VE6 Kilo Delta X-ray. Carl, are you still here? Nothing heard. VE6 Romeo November X-ray. Vern?
Victor Echo 6 Romeo November Echo. Yep, still there, Paul. You're loud and clear. 5x8.
All right. Well, the band must be in pretty decent shape. Your 20 watts is still S4 at my location, about the same strength I had you when you checked in. Thank you for hanging with us tonight. Before we conclude the sideband portion and move up to FM, are there any additional check-ins tonight for the Salt Lake 10-meter net? If so, call now. Are there any relays? All right, hearing nothing, we'll let that wrap up the sideband session tonight. We thank everybody for checking in. This net will return next week on this same frequency at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And we will now, we're going to pause about a minute to 1 to 2 minutes. I'm going to try to check out as I tune up the band and see what it is we've been seeing up around 28,400. But then we'll go up to 29,48 FM simplex. This is AE4KR, net control for the Salt Lake 10-meter net, now returning this frequency to normal, regular amateur radio use. 7-3, everyone.
Paul, AE4KR, WA7X. There was another station that had attempted to check in way back when the W0 had checked in, and you didn't copy him, but and he was just a brief transmission, never heard again. WA7X.
Okay. All right. Well, if you ever hear one of those, feel free to interrupt me and hop in. Just yell relay. All right. We'll catch you up the band. AE4KR.
What station are you going on FM?
29.480. 29.48.
All right, 29.480 FM. Thank you, Paul. 7
AE4KR.
Does anybody copy? Over. This is Kilo Juliet 7, Lima Alpha X-ray.
Kilo Charlie X-ray Romeo.
I heard a Charlie X-ray Romeo. Is that correct?
Roger, roger. The name is Kurt, Charlie Uniform Romeo Tango, and I'm in Southwest Washington.
Wow, well that's pretty cool. I've never contacted anybody on FM.
Yeah, this is a first for me too. I heard you guys on sideband on 358, and I sat down and turned my machine on just in time to hear you say you were moving up. So I moved up. You were an S9 plus down below.
Calling the Salt Lake 10 meter net. Calling the Salt Lake 10 meter net. This is AE4KR. I'll be your net control. We're going to start by running down the roll call for those who are with us for the sideband portion. Let me start tonight with our stations outside the area. Victor Echo 6, Romeo November Echo. Vern, can you hear us on FM tonight?
Did you copy that? This is Kilo Juliet 7.
6 Romeo November Echo in Whitecourt, Alberta. Back to you.
CQ. This is Kilo Juliet Lima Alpha X-ray. Over.
James, did you copy Vern?
KK7AVS, yes, I copied Vern, and KJ7LAX is here with us as well. He was talking to another station from Southwest Washington.
Do you copy?
Okay, well, I'd ask everybody to stand by, and we'll get to you. Did you copy what Vern said? Vern, if you can hear me, I know you were in there, but you were back and forth fighting with the noise floor at my location. But James, did you copy anything from him?
I copied a little bit. KJ7LAX was talking over top of him a little bit, but yeah, he does hear you at 9 plus, I think. I would have to listen again. Sorry about that, Paul. There's quite a bit of stations I can hear up here.
Are they our guys, or do we need to move the net somewhere?
No, they're our guys. KJ7LAX just can't hear me anymore either now, it seems like.
7 Lima Alpha X-ray. Over.
All right, well, let me know if the QRM remains a problem. If so, we'll go down 20 more, but we'll try it here. Okay. Well, Vern, if you are hearing me, we appreciate your checking in tonight on both modes. Let's see. James, go ahead and take an informal on FM if you want.
This is KK7AVS James, still up here on Traverse Mountain. It's starting to get a little dark, and it's windy and getting a little chilly up here, so I'm about ready to pack it in here shortly, but it's really cool that that other station that heard us from Washington followed us over to this frequency, and he was talking to KJ7LAX, so that was really cool. It's just amazing. Canada came through, Nebraska, and everybody else, and I could hear everybody so good. Tim was the only person I had a hard time hearing, but this is the best location by far that we've ever transmitted from, or I have anyways. Thank you so much, Paul. KK7AVS to AE4KR.